Hello, hello. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We appreciate you taking the time to share your lunch with us. I have a couple of news updates. Most of you know them already, but I'll go ahead and share with you. For those that don't know, as an FIU student, you got free access to the New York Times. So if you don't know how to access online articles, please take one of these pink slips, and it will give you it will take you there. What else? A couple of things. Any honor college students here? Well, if you don't know, this semester we started like a partnership with them. So if you attend the Tuesday Times Roundtable, you also get not only Global Learning Medallion points, you also get honors points. Of course, you need to stay until the end of the session for us to sign. We have a specific sign-in sheet for honor students, so please make sure that you see Taylor and I at the end. What else? We have a lot of stuff going on, but a couple of reminders. Transformation contest, for those that don't know, we're taking some students to FIU in DC. We are meeting with last year we met with Peace Corps, State Department, think tanks. So we're taking some students. There's a contest going on. It ends on Friday. So if you would like to participate, please visit our website and you'll find more information there. If you don't follow us in social media, please do that. Go Global FIU. We not only share all the opportunities and our events, but we also share other departments' events as well. What else? We have another event with the Honors College. It will be during Panther Alumni Week, February 5th from 12 to 2 in CBC 155. Again, follow us to learn more. And what else? We have, if you're interested on, I don't know if you heard about Culture Shock Miami, but there's a performance, a theater performance. It's at night, but if you attend, you also get Global Learning Medallion points. I don't know about honors. Tickets are $5. You let us know if you want to learn more, and there's some flyers out there. What I want to say, this is a very special session because it's for basically the person that created this session is an alumni. And she's with me, I'll talk more about it. But basically, it was under the persistence and the insistence of her saying, like, this is an important topic and I want to share the experience and we want to share this, that she followed up and she basically created this panel and she brought forward this amazing panel of experts. So it was all her. It was in our office whatsoever. So that's what I wanted to give her props. We have the Alumni Association passing by, featuring this event. We're really proud of her. And again, I hope that, it serves, especially because of the topic, that it serves as an example of what all of you can be doing to engage the community, and the fact that she chose us to share all of these, we are really proud. I'm very, very thankful. With that, I'll go into some introductions. They will tell you about their expertise and what they do, and you'll have the opportunity to ask questions, and they have a short presentation prepared. But I wanted to give you a short bio kind of each speaker so you know who we have here today. Last thing, if you have questions during the presentation, please feel free to ask, but give me time and give me and Taylor time to run with the mics so your questions can come up on video. I always forget to say that, so please do. Okay. So we have Louise Exelvert. She has specialized in the field of diabetes for the past 48 years, even before a formal certification program existed. She was among the first group of nurses to become a certified diabetes educator, and when the additional certification board certified advanced diabetes manager came out, she was the first to sit for that exam as well. Louise received her BSN from Hunter College in New York and her MS in adult education from FIU, another alumni. She's currently the manager of the Diabetes Care Center at Baptist Hospital of Miami and the co-chairman of the Diabetes Care Collaborative at Baptist Health System. Y Performance Improvement Initiative, to enhance inpatient diabetes care at Baptist Health. Luis has been an active member of the American Association of Diabetes Educators and serves on the Florida Advocacy Board. She is also a member of the American Diabetes Association, both local and national, and sits on the local board of directors. In addition to diabetes specialist, Luis has been a certified childbirth educator for the past 42 years and recently retired from giving routine group classes to only providing them privately. As she herself matures, the additional certification in geriatric nursing seemed appropriate. Luis has been a guest speaker at many local and international conferences and developed and hosted 14 diabetes education cruises, one of the most rewarding venues for professional education in addition to the travel experience. Luis also president of Synchrony Solutions, a healthcare consulting corporation where she enjoys sharing her years of experience in clinical care and treatment, management, and education. Ms. Exelbert lives with her husband, a tabby cat, and a beautiful retriever puppy. She has 4 grown children and 12 grandchildren. That is a feat on itself. That's great. We have also Mercy Molina. She has been registered and licensed dietitian for the past 19 years and a certified diabetes educator and nutrition counselor since 2001. She has extensive knowledge in the field of medical nutrition counseling as it applies to type 1 and type 2 diabetes, and we'll learn more about that, as well as wellness and weight management programs. She is a certified diabetes educator and a certified insulin pump trainer. She has assisted in the development of nutrition education programs for the public school system, thereby furthering her mission of bringing healthy lifestyle changes to the community. She works with both pediatric and adult patients in the management of their diabetes using the latest technology to help them achieve optimal blood sugar control. Her experience has been in the outpatient and inpatient hospital setting, providing medical nutrition therapy and counseling for weight management, diabetes, renal disease, cardiac health, and bariatric counseling pre- and post-surgery. Her training and experience includes a focus on individualized, realistic goal setting for permanent lifestyle change to aid positive weight management outcomes for improved health and wellness. Mercy is a member of the American Diabetes Association. She's an avid road bike cyclist and loves to kayak. Thank you so much for being here. We also have Jacqueline A. Colon, registered dietitian and graduate from Kaiser University, where she received a Bachelor of Science in Dietetics and Nutrition. Her 10-year experience in lifestyle and health counseling has encouraged her to launch her own private practice, Flourish Nutrition, where she strives daily in helping individuals overcome obstacles and reach their goals in living a healthier lifestyle by encouraging and providing medical nutrition-related knowledge. She was previously employed as a clinical dietitian at the University of Miami Diabetes Research Institute, where she focused on diabetes-related nutrition counseling. She's dedicated to improving health outcomes for persons with diabetes and those in need of weight management through her expertise as a nutritionist and a lifestyle health coach. She believes motivating others with a positive attitude and patience is the key for successful lifestyle change. She's enthusiastic in increasing awareness on disease prevention and takes pride on her work every day. Thank you so much for being here. Lastly, we have our star, Whitney Olmo. Whitney is an FIU alumni. She majored, and she wrote this on the first voice, so I'm going to read it on that voice. I love it. I major in psychology. I like that Miami is full of culture and diversity. I am bilingual in English and Spanish. I love working with others by assisting them in reaching their goals and dreams. I love being within the healthcare environment and learning about others' experiences and how they have persevered with a chronic condition and or various disabilities, but through all the adversity, have still attained their careers they have dreamed of. In my spare time, I like to adventure, reading, poetry, music, and flamenco. If I had a mantra, it would be yourself and help others reach their dreams. Whether it's through mentoring, speaking, or inspiring others, always follow your heart. Thank you so much all. Thank you. And I don't know if you want us to provide us first with an overview of what a chronic illness and also what the difference between diabetes 1 and 2 is. Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and start. I've got two amazing dietitians who are certified diabetes educators. So we're going to let all food questions and food information come from them. And then, of course, Whitney's experience as a former student here, but also as someone having diabetes. So I've seen diabetes change over the last however many years, you said, 48 or so years. And we've learned tons about the differences between the two basic types. And some of you may know that we have a type that's called type 1 and we have a type that's called type 2. We used to call them juvenile diabetes and adult maturity onset diabetes, but in fact it has nothing to do with age. So we got rid of those names altogether and we simply call them type 1 and type 2. But what's important for you to understand is that they're two very, very different diseases. Type 1, which usually happens in the younger individual, comprises only about 10% of the whole diabetes population. And in fact, it's someone who makes barely any insulin at all, which means any food that converts to sugar, which is everything, by the way, because we need sugar for energy. That's why we eat. It's not just for fun. So, in fact, everything we eat converts to sugar, and without insulin, we can't use any of those sugar molecules for energy. So the body starves, and the body breaks down fat, and the body creates a ketone or an acid that literally is lethal. So someone with type 1 could literally die without insulin. Someone with type 2 might take insulin, but if we eliminate the insulin, their blood sugars might go up, but they're not at risk of dying. So the individual with type 2, which is the majority of those with diabetes, still make insulin. They either don't make enough or their insulin doesn't work quite well, but they can be controlled often on pills, oral medications, sometimes even by just meal planning and exercise, and then sometimes on insulin if none of the other stuff works. But the difference between the two is very real, okay? Type 1 is an autoimmune disease. You've heard that term. Some cancers, Crohn's disease, lupus, some arthritis types are called autoimmune because the body attacks itself in a strange way and doesn't allow certain organs to work properly. In type 1 diabetes, that individual makes attack cells against those insulin-producing cells, actual antibodies. And in fact, that's why the insulin is being destroyed. In someone with type 2 diabetes, there are no antibodies. It is not an autoimmune disease. They are both, however, hereditary. So there is a genetic component to both, more so in type 2 than type 1, but there is a genetic component to both. Okay, so overall, the concept is that blood sugars get too high and people feel bad. They don't have energy. They urinate a lot. They're hungry. They are thirsty a lot. Their skin is dry. Their vision is blurry. And those are typical symptoms of high blood sugar. And the high blood sugar that can occur in either one creates the same type of symptoms. But of course, the type 1 can go on without insulin, God forbid, to being in a coma and dying. Each one has its own possibility for complications, depending on how high the blood sugars have been. Complications like blindness, kidney failure, nerve-ending problems, heart disease and stroke, among other cardiovascular diseases. All of those are complications of diabetes, and primarily complications of those that don't keep their blood sugars well controlled. So it is a forever struggle for someone with diabetes, regardless of the type, to keep blood sugars controlled. And that is what Whitney's going to chat about a bit more, because there isn't a single thing that you did so far today that wouldn't affect your blood sugar if you had diabetes. Okay? It's in epidemic proportion. Both type 1s and type 2s are increasing throughout our world. Why this is happening, we're not totally sure. We're probably being poisoned, here and there. That's another dietitian discussion. But for whatever the reason, we need to attack it, and we need to identify more people who are at risk for type 1. We need to identify those with a condition called prediabetes for type 2. And we need to try to stop it in its tracks, and that's the only way we can try to lessen the percentage of it. So on that note, I'm going to let my colleagues talk a bit more. And of course, I'll answer any questions you have.
Yeah, I like to start out with, do you have any nutrition questions? Not everybody all at the same time. Anybody? Anybody here know someone with diabetes? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, most everybody.
Okay, me too. I'm an alumni from this school, by the way. Anyways, so any questions on nutrition, burning questions that you have? Anybody? Yes.
FIU alert. This is a test of the FIU emergency notification.
On the many announcements that I made this when we started, I forgot to mention that they're testing an alarm today.
Okay.
They sent us an email. I'm really sorry. So we'll have to
We have to leave?
navigate it.
Oh,
No, we don't.
Yeah, fortunately,
It's a
we don't
test.
have to vacate.
oh.
So no, sorry.
You were asking about the fruit?
Any
No. Yes and no. Because like carbohydrates, like Lois mentioned, between the type 1 and type 2. So the type 1, if you're insulin deficient, you're going to match your insulin to carbs, right? What are carbs? Bread, starches, fruits, right? But so is a pastelito, and so is a Snicker bar, and, a bunch of junk is also a carbohydrate. So are you going to sit there and just match your carbs to your insulin? No, that's not good for me or for someone with diabetes. So it's not an extreme. So you can't say you can't have this or you can have this as much as you want. There has to be some kind of moderation. Of course, the type 2, it's in epidemic proportions because why do you think the number one reason why people get diabetes or type 2 diabetes? You have the genetic predisposition to it, but what triggers it to become type 2 is usually insulin resistance, and that is caused by being overweight. No exercise, being overweight, so that has a lot to do with what you're eating. So did I answer your question? Anybody else? Somebody back there?
There was one up here.
I know that the keto diet at the moment is really trendy, right? And that's a very
Yeah.
low carb diet. But obviously with diabetes, there's ketoacidosis, right? Which is what
Yes.
happens when you. So is a keto diet safe or effective or healthy for people with diabetes?
Well, see, ketones are produced, like Lois explained, in type 1 when you have no insulin. So you start to burn fat in the presence of a lot of sugar and no insulin, right? So you start to burn your fat because you have no insulin to metabolize the carbohydrate. That is a state where you can die. If in a couple of even hours you don't get enough insulin and hydrate, you can die. In type 2, you can go on a keto diet, or anybody can go on a keto diet by eliminating all carbohydrate, and you go into the fat burning mode. You check your urine for ketones, and you're burning fat, so you're in that fat burning state, so you lose weight quickly. But I'll just put this so you guys can think. You lose 30 pounds, right? Really quickly. But part of that weight loss, a little bit of is some protein mass. So let's say you lose 5 pounds of protein, right, mass, and 20 pounds or 25 pounds of fat mass. Once you eat that first carbohydrate that you start to put it on, you start to eat the carbs again, and you put on that 30 pounds again, your fat to muscle mass distribution is not the same. So you gain back the 30 pounds as fat mass. not as protein. You see what I'm saying? So then you go through the whole cycle all over again. And this is where someone that yo-yo diets, I tell them, it's better for you to be overweight your whole life and decide to change your eating habits and lose weight the right way than to yo-yo diet, because you become like, has anyone ever used the Danita or the fat, that test where they look to see how much body fat you have? So you become like, yeah, you're of a good weight, but your fat to muscle distribution is off, and it's because you've yo-yo dieted your whole life. So the keto diet is just another.
Fad diet.
If you can stick to a keto diet for the rest of your life, and it works for you, that's fine. But who's gonna not eat carbs at all for the rest of their life? It's not realistic.
Yeah, but I mean, would it cause like immediate danger to someone with type 2 or type 1 diabetes?
For type 1, yeah.
one, okay.
But not type 2.
Okay.
I mean, no, not really.
Hi. Basically, I have celiac disease.
Okay.
Refractory celiac disease type 1. And
You have type 1 also?
they said I'm at risk
Okay.
because my grandmother had the same I had, and she died of pancreatic cancer.
Okay. A lot of people with
So, yeah.
celiac and type 1, they go hand in
Yeah.
hand.
They tell me that there's a large correlation.
Yes.
So basically, I go to the doctor and I get my blood sugar checked. And but the diet I'm on, they said, puts me even more at risk.
What diet are you on?
I'm on like rice, potatoes, and corn. So they said the diet I'm on and stay away from the convenience foods and things like that. 'Cause
mean,
they said the
It's all in the
diets-
matter of
yeah.
exactly. So the processed, right? You can have
Yeah.
potato, but potato chips, right? The
Yeah.
processed potato, I would stay away from.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to watch this because of the celiac. You need to watch certain foods. So you're gonna. It doesn't mean that because you eat that you're gonna get type 1 diabetes.
Yeah, I have the peripheral neuropathy that a lot of the diabetics have, and my doctor's just making sure it's not turning into that. But they check my blood sugar and stuff. So,
Yeah.
But they said right now you're still below, but it's kind of in that range.
Yeah.
So,
The
yeah.
the other test, which again is worldwide, but at University of Miami, is a test that measures antibody levels. So generally, it's restricted to first-degree relatives of those folks with diabetes. But I think they would be open to doing it in somebody with celiac because of the combined risk.
Yeah, you'd
Yeah.
have to find
I had a
out.
family member that had diabetes as well. That's why they wanted they
Did
they
she have
regularly
type 1 or
check.
type 2?
I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but it was my grandfather. He had
I mean,
diabetes. So
do
I'm
you
not
see
sure.
an endocrinologist?
They sent me to the VA, and they run the labs through everybody. So
Yeah, 'cause
but
like
yeah,
Lois
they
said-
just said you're at risk. But they tell me I'm healthy for right now, but they still do all the tests to make sure
Yeah.
like
Yeah, but
everything's
they probably
level.
haven't run an antibody level.
Yeah.
You can go to an endocrinologist and they'll know what tests to run. They
Okay.
could do antibody tests or the C-peptide to see how much insulin you're producing.
Okay.
They can do all those.
Yeah.
There
'cause
are
if-
tests.
Yeah, if I eat like any kind of sugar, like ice cream or something, the peripheral neuropathy comes back and stuff.
Really?
And it's like, that's why they're kind of like looking at the numbers right now. But is there any like big red flags I should look out for? Like, is there any like thing that I should say, oh, I need to go to the emergency room or something like that? Or
I
sorry.
don't know.
Just
like
the typical
symptom-wise, or-
symptoms,
yeah.
rapid weight loss with no explanation
yeah, that's how I got diagnosed with celiac.
with
so-
celiac.
Yeah, I lost
Yeah,
35
'cause-
pounds in 6 weeks. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But if that were to occur again,
Yeah.
then that's a clue that maybe,
It's the
type,
sugar.
yeah.
Yeah. A
Okay.
thirst, this kind of thirst. Like I had a patient one time, he went to Disney and he said he sat next to where they sold the water and he spent $27 buying water. And that's when he said there's something wrong here. So he went to the doctor and sure enough, his sugar was super high. So that's a big clue. And then you're going to the bathroom all the time, like you can't even sleep. So that's a clue.
okay.
Yeah.
It's just good to know because I
Yeah,
don't know much
yeah.
about
The symptoms.
know,
yeah, those are typical symptoms. You don't check your sugar at home?
I don't, but my doctor says she said anything below a 5, I think it was.
Oh,
was
the
healthy.
A1C.
Yeah, I'm
A1C.
at like a 4.7. So,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
she
you're
said,
good.
so far you're good. So
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Hello. I want to say thank you for all coming and sharing your expertise. I got a question for all of you. I know one of you guys just mentioned that we might be getting poisoned, and I know technology and everything else is it's increasing, but technology also has some drawbacks. Some people becoming more lazy. Like I also work with kids, and I know most kids right now don't have recess right now. So
Big problem, yeah.
so is it true that this epidemic is going to become much worse in 5 or 10, 15 years? And how do people like us, students, be able to prepare the next generation for this?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Sure.
It is going to get much, much worse. And exercise is an extremely important factor. Right now, kids' thumbs are pretty strong, but that's about it. So, yeah, you need to set the stage for yourselves and the next generation.
Educating yourself.
And fight to get recess back into, many of the schools. It's an enormous problem. So the overweight piece is one of them. And in fact, it isn't necessarily always the type of food, but the way the food is prepared or where the food came from, which again gets me off on a whole rant, which I'm not going to go into. But, basically that, keeping kids at as close to ideal body weight as possible, eating balanced meals. I'm sorry, I'm stealing a little bit of your thunder. And exercising, moving.
Yeah.
These kids need to have at least an hour or two of activity a day. And most kids don't.
I have a question for the audience going on the same topic. How many of you guys here read your food labels or try to see what you're eating? Okay. So just by doing that, the what, I'm sorry? Just by doing that right there, that little small habit is you're aware of what you're consuming, which could go a long way. The problem is that there's a lot of people that just kind of grab or they go by what's in front of the label. And there's a lot of food label scams, and it's all marketing, done. And yeah, it's the food industry. That's the unfortunate part. But if we're educating ourselves and learning just to simply read a food label, that goes a long way. And you start reading ingredients like corn syrup or high fructose corn syrup, and finding those words that you automatically will say, I don't want that. Let me, put it back, find something else that's more whole foods. If you start that small little habit and then teaching your kids or just teaching your friends, more and more will be, creating an environment, a community that's more educated. And that's what we're trying to change. As far as, nutritionists, dietitians, that's always our passion to, right now the statistics or the facts don't look so positive as far as our future and for our kids. But if we kind of could, do little things and teach someone just that, it could go a long way.
It's better for it not to have a food label, right?
Yeah. Make
if
it yourself.
the food does not have a
Yeah,
food
right.
label, that's unprocessed.
Yeah.
Right?
sure.
So you don't have to worry about it.
Making more
you do,
meals.
but not really.
Not rely on fast food.
Yeah.
A quick question. So you guys said how the food, obviously it's marketing and there's some scams. Is there any chance you could give us some examples? Like, I know that there are some labels that say, free range eggs or something like that, but is there really any difference about that?
Yeah, there's a lot of different food label scams. So one could be like the gluten-free. They'll put that on a piece of steak, which is, beef doesn't have that. Or especially now with the whole keto thing that has come out, now there's tons of products that automatically you see keto chips and keto this and keto that, because they know that it's just a new fad diet that everyone's just gonna grab and not really look behind it. As far as the gluten-free products as well, if you're doing it as far as, I want to be healthier, I want to eat gluten-free, but you're not really realizing how many more calories are in gluten-free items or products compared to a regular label. So you're just kind of going by what they want you to buy. And it's all basically that. Those are all, and there's also, they'll put good source of vitamin C on the front. But if you read in the back, it's loaded with sugar. So what vitamins are going to really live on that type of environment in a product? So it's really little things that if you turn it around and you read the actual label and the ingredients, you'll find out much more in that product than the front.
Or they'll say no sugar added.
Yeah.
No sugar. Sugar, they mean the white table sucrose, but it'll be loaded with some other kind of sweetener. Honey, fruit juice, same thing. You know, and so a lot of people with diabetes, they go out and buy stuff that's no sugar added. But if you compare the calories, it's the same. It's just they've used some kind of other sweetener, you know.
Or
You
higher
have to be
fat,
Yeah.
Right.
and not necessarily the best fat.
Yeah.
So,
So fat free, they remove the fat, put something else. Sugar free, they remove the sugar and put
Or
more stuff.
salt.
Yeah.
They'll increase the salt.
Mm-hmm. Question?
Okay. My question is, should we be concerned about the preservatives? Because I realized, like, I had bought some muffins, and they didn't. I went away for Christmas break, and they were still good. And I was like, I don't think this is natural. So should we be concerned about preservatives also affecting our diet and how we process foods?
Of
would say
course.
absolutely.
Yes. So if it comes in a bag, a box, a can, if it's packaged somehow, it's going to have some kind of preservative in it, right? Because they have to keep it on the shelf. That's just like that whole craze with the trans fats. You know, the trans fats are created by getting good oil, hydrogenating it, and it becomes a stable fat so they can put it on the shelf and keep it there for longer, because olive oil, the unsaturated fats are going to go bad after a while. Has anyone kept olive oil in a jar for a long time and go to use it and it's rancid? So if they use good oil in these processed products, it would go bad on the shelf. So they have to hydrogenate it. So sometimes they'll say per serving, it has no trans fats. But if you go past that per serving size, you'll get hydrogenated fats. And how would you find out if it has hydrogenated fats? How would you find that out? You look at the ingredients. And if it says hydrogenation, you know you're getting trans fats.
So by law, they're able to put no trans fat because it's 5% or less.
Yeah, it's like the size of the
yeah.
serving. So if the size of the serving has less than half a gram of saturated or
1.5,
trans
yeah.
fat, they can claim it. So it has to do with the wording, the labeling, and the law.
Mm-hmm. No
so
question.
I'm going to suggest that Whitney present her piece of the program, because I know
Yeah.
she's worked very hard on it. And then it'll open up to some more questions as
Yeah.
well.
So yes, my name is Whitney Olmo, and I'm going to be presenting on diabetes, mainly on type 1 specifically. Okay. In 1922, Sir Frederick Banting discovered insulin. As we know, November is Diabetes Awareness Month, and also November 14th is World Diabetes Day. There are many adults who have diabetes, 425 million to be exact. There are many symptoms that go along with having diabetes. Many children to adults experience these symptoms. Some of them are fatigue, frequent urination, weight loss at a rather quick pace. Yes. You can feel dizziness. Your vision can be affected by becoming blurry. This can happen after or even before you may be diagnosed, and also changes in appetite. So you may not feel or eat as much as you usually do when it comes to your meals. There's a lot of technology that has been There's a lot of technology that has been developed or created to help people who have diabetes, such as the CGM sensors like Dexcom or the Guardian Sensor 3, which goes with the Medtronic insulin pump. There are also a lot of insulin pumps that have been created as well. Medtronic is a tube pump, along with well,
Tandem. And Omnipod.
yes, easy. Okay, yes, thank you. Yes, Tandem is also a tube pump. They recently came out with the Tandem X2, which has control basal IQ, and this helps to alert people who, when they're having a low, which is usually when your blood sugar is 70 or below, an urgent low blood sugar, is supposed to be considered at 55. When your blood sugar is 55 or below, when it reaches that point. So there are many things that you can do. I don't want to go off topic.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are many things that you can do when you have low blood sugar. It's called treating a low. So you can use glucose tablets. You can use glucose gel, which is also called Transcend. You can use glucose like powder. It's called Evaporate. Usually kids treat lows with juices. Some the easiest way to treat a low, actually, a lot of people use candy because like Skittles and things have 4 grams of carbs, which they can treat. Some of these are considered fast, like fast fast acting, like
It absorbs quickly.
yes, they absorb really quickly into the bloodstream. So I'm gonna move on to the topic of the materials that may be used, which a person may carry every day on a daily basis within their purses or backpacks. A lot of students or even people who go into the workplace may carry these items. So a lot of people carry their glucose meter. For the Omnipod, the PDM itself is a glucose meter. You also have test strips, lancets that you may carry. You also have alcohol pads or like their little wipes and things like that. The glucose tablets. There's a lot of things that people use.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
lot of
yes,
it's a
and-
lot of extra stuff,
Sorry.
to carry around.
Yes, and also your insulin pens to give yourself a manual dose of insulin, like Novolog and Lantus. Have you guys heard of these materials? Yes, some of you? Okay, that's good. There are many events that happen throughout the year for diabetes itself. One of the events that I'm going to talk about is camp, which is through Camp Najeda. So they have 2 sessions, one being that is in July from June 5th, to June 7th. And then the second session is when you can bring like a friend to camp, and that is usually from September 11th through September 13th. They also have a kids camp, which is about 6 to 8 weeks in session. So they have 2 types of camps, one for kids and one for adults. And there are many camps that take place throughout the United States at different times of the year. Have you guys heard of organizations that may play a role with diabetes. Can you guys name a few? Yes, that is a good one. Any more? There are many organizations that play a big part in the research and funding of diabetes awareness. So JDRF is a large organization. They have many events that take place throughout the year here in South Florida. Also, the College of Diabetes Network is a organization that helps to contribute to alumni chapters and helps with students transitioning between different grade levels within the school system. Oftentimes, students have a hard time transitioning because they may not understand completely how to manage their diabetes, or maybe they don't have a good support system set up yet at the beginning of their diagnosis. So these things are critical in having or playing a good role in diabetes management. The JDRF organization has a young adults conference throughout the year, and they also provide scholarships in the month of January. Oh, and also Beyond Type 1 also provides scholarships to students as well. If you guys would like some more information about these organizations, I could kindly give you the website so you guys could look up the information at the end of the session, of course.
And I think one of the flyers that Mercy prepared, right? You listed all of those.
I prepared, like, it's an online resources. You can go, it's got stuff on type 1. You can research it. The College Diabetes Network is a really good one, the one she's mentioning now. They provide a lot of support for kids when they come to college. They're alone. They don't have the parents anymore. They have to find a doctor if they went away for college. So they're a big network, and they're really good. The College Diabetes Network.
The JDRF also has a 1 to 2 walks that they have here in the state of Florida, which is a large event that takes place. Many people and many organizations who support diabetes take a part of it. They also have a gala to help fundraise and raise awareness for diabetes. Yes.
And there's a walk coming up, and there's information about the walk too, that we have as a handout for you.
There are many resources or things that people can look up or find information about that speak about diabetes. One of them is social media, like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. A lot of those websites or social media apps also contribute to the awareness of various topics on diabetes and diabetes research. Things like the Diatribe, Forecast Diabetes, these are monthly magazines that are published. These also help to create awareness on celebrities, athletes, ordinary and everyday individuals who have experienced diabetes and who have had large impacts on among other individuals' lives. It is good. It is good to subscribe to these things as well. If you go to your endocrinologist office or things like that, you can also ask them to look at these magazines to learn more information. There are novels like Think Like a Pancreas, Bright Spots and Landmines by Adam Brown, that also play a big role in like entertainment. A lot of students or people like to read about them on a daily basis. There's a lot of medical magazines and articles out there that also help to add additional information to diabetes.
Thank you so much, Whitney, for all that information. I wanted to say for the four of you, right? Because you see, okay, we need healthy, like a healthier living style. The food, I can tell you, for example, the school we have there's a lot of talk of food insecurity across campuses, even with a pantry. It's hard to keep fresh and healthy food. So what the four of you think as students and as people in the university, what can we do not to only better ourselves if we are managing some type of chronic illness or something with our weight, but what can we do to kind of close this gap, right? Because you are stating this is going to get worse, but at the same time, we don't see, the cheapest food tends to be the processed food, well, not fruits and veggies, but I don't know. I wanted your opinion on how we as a community can close the gap.
Education.
Education.
Not always is everything that is healthier is actually more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have heard of the farmers markets. So there's local farmers. There's a guy, I know him, he grows a farm, St. Simon's. He has a stand in the Whole Foods in North Miami, and you can order like CSAs or community-sponsored agriculture boxes. You know what those are? Like every week during the season, you get whatever they grow on the farm. They'll tell you what it is. I mean, they'll give you a list, but you can do local farmers markets. They're all over the place. Now, I think FIU has one, right? Doesn't FIU have a farmers market?
FIU has a
where you
farmers
can,
market.
yeah, so you can,
And they have a food pantry.
okay,
as well.
there you go. I don't know, but I know that I know back in a long time ago, they used to be on Wednesdays, right? I know it was in the middle of the week, but you can find out. I don't really know. You'd have to find out. But they have them all over the Miami.
Gables
Farmers
in Miami.
markets. Yeah, like on the
Tropical Park
weekend.
on a Saturday
Tropical
has it.
Park, Pinecrest has it.
Are
There's
they
a lot of local
affordable?
farms. I'm sorry?
Are they affordable? That's the
Yeah,
question.
they're pretty affordable. Check out St. Simon. He's a young guy who wanted to be a farmer. He was like 25 years old when he started this farm. He needed land, and this church had land, and it's right around here. It's in this FIU vicinity. I don't know the exact address, but his farm is around here. So this church had a lot of land. He needed land, and they did like a barter system where he can grow all his stuff there, and he has local products that they grow. So you can check those things out. As far as what they offer here, I guess you'd have to scope out that whole food market or food court here and figure out what you're going to eat that's healthier. You have to be choosy. Bring your own fruits. I know it's hard when you're a student.
I think the benefit is like increasing awareness in yourself, like wanting to learn what's out there, wanting to read up on things. So aside from that company, there's other companies. I think there's one called Healthy Harvest.
Yeah.
That they provide you a box of produce, vegetables and fruits every month. And their whole thing is that they grab produce that Publix and other places reject. Because let's say an orange, if it doesn't look pleasing, or it has one little tiny dot, then Publix doesn't want it to sell. And then what happens is that they're throwing all this stuff away. So it's pretty neat. It's a good concept. And then that way you're getting actually good produce for much cheaper.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
'cause-
Trader Joe's does that also, and Aldi's. They have
Oh,
the same little
Aldi's is
thing.
another one.
Particular.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, being aware of now what's coming up, which is pretty cool. I think the newest one that's like now my new favorite is Wild Forks. Have you tried it?
No, I haven't been
I
there.
heard about it, but I haven't.
I'm like
My
obsessed.
newest one. Yeah, I haven't been
It's
there.
it's a company that's all, you know, good organic quality meats. They're deep frozen, and it's, you know, basically obviously it lasts longer in your freezer, but you're able to get good quality meats, fish, all types of stuff for much cheaper. So now those stores are also popping up around. So it's, at least that's positive that those companies and those stores are coming around, because now we don't have to rely on Publix or other places that, yeah, they do get expensive, you know, but it's just kind of learning, Googling, you know, what's around and finding that type of stuff. So
You had a question? You had a question.
I got a question for both of you. You guys are experts at this. I'm just a psych major.
Oh, there's a lot of psych in eating. And
No, there is.
I need to get a second degree.
yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So,
trust me.
We
Like
all
the-
have minors in
Yeah,
psychology.
yeah, we sure do.
like the question
Honorary.
is, because of this is now something new, more states are legalizing it, and you guys probably know. Is there any evidence of cannabis or medical marijuana being helpful to combat diabetes?
Not for diabetes, but inflammatory, yeah.
So I'm going to give you an anecdotal story. My son is a physician, a pediatric intensivist, but he's also certified in medical marijuana. So he's the medical director of Fluent, if any of you have heard of that, one of the dispensaries. It's out throughout Florida, probably elsewhere anyway. So for the past 2 years, he's been seeing primarily children, because he's a pediatrician, but also internal medicine. So he's seen adults as well. And there isn't anything in the literature yet on you know, the cannabinoid system, let's say, and lowering blood sugars and all of that. But anecdotally, he will often tell me that his patients who have come to him to, you know, get prescriptions, they don't call it prescriptions, whatever, you know, get a card and start on various different kinds of products, have significantly lowered their blood sugar. Now, is it because they no longer have pain and that's what they came for? So the reduction in pain lowered the stress hormones, which then lowered their blood sugar. You know, who knows? There's various different hypotheses as to why that occurred. But I just wanted to throw that in as, you know, so far we're seeing that. We need tons more studies.
It's going to take
But-
time, years.
Yeah, but years ago I did some research on that, on lowering blood sugars, and there are a few studies that marijuana, smoking it, not like the kind of medical that we have now, does lower blood sugars. That's why you get the munchies.
He's writing it down.
I'm serious. Yeah, that's why you get the munchies with it, because it does lower your blood sugar. Remember that?
Right, and it also
Yeah, it
triggers a spot in your brain.
there's more studies now. Yeah, that it. What is the cannabinoid system?
The cannabinoid
The-
system,
yeah.
it's incredible. The more you read about that,
Yeah,
It is interesting.
it's truly fascinating.
you guys should listen to his podcast on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
With Montel Williams. Search Montel Williams and Eric Exelbert, and you'll see the talk that they had, and you'll learn a lot.
I think the name of it was called Let's Be Blunt.
Oh, that's right.
It was kind of cute.
Yeah,
But a very enlightening, you know,
very.
not just because he's my son, but it was very, but it was very enlightening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what, what they prove with that, and if it's going to help. So, any more questions?
I just have one. I have an 8-year-old, and he eats school lunch every single day. And the government is always trying to regulate the school lunches because I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I've heard that 1 in 3 children are at risk of developing diabetes at some point in their lifetime in this day and age. Do you guys advocate that, or do you feel that some states say that, you know, children should have choices, but some states argue that they're too young to make healthy choices and they don't understand the consequences. So are you guys an advocate for school lunch regulation? Do you think that's the best interest of the children who aren't capable of making their own choices?
Well, I think that it's any child. I think you should already be implementing healthy choices from the beginning for any age. Yeah, at school lunch, I mean, there's plenty of dietitians that have tried to lobby that and change, and we have improved through the years. But there's so much, there's still going to be, offering certain things or pizzas or chicken nuggets because those are the things that kids are going to, grab and like. Now, it's what you do as a parent to teach them, hey, we're going to offer now vegetables on the table because vegetables do this for you. Or kind of, involve them in picking in choosing their foods and why. Take them to the grocery store and pick out their fruits and vegetables. It's really what the parents do outside of school. Then that when the kid is in school, he'll reach more for the fruit than drinking the chocolate milk or drinking the cookies or things like that. I think it's more depending on the outside.
There's a lot of money in that because I used to work for Miami-Dade Public School System Food and Nutrition Department, and I quit because I couldn't fight the battle. There's a lot of money in buying processed foods and providing them for the school children. And they did studies to try to make the lunches more or healthier, right? To give them more options that were healthier. But the studies that were done, the kids were throwing away the food. So they would let them choose between the unhealthy and the healthy, and they always went with the unhealthy. So it's like like an uphill battle too. You open up a healthy restaurant and they go out of business. Right. Who's in business? The people with the greasy bacon, bacon's a big thing now, right? And
because it's
so
keto.
it's hard. It's really hard, especially peer pressure with the kids at school. So I think, like Jackie said, it starts at home. You have to start teaching them at home. Mm-hmm. I mean, what they do outside and what they do in school, you have no control over. But at least you can start at home by teaching. It's a family affair.
Yeah,
that whole eating healthy.
For sure.
Yes. Hello. I have a question. So, actually, one of my grandparents passed away. I believe, in 2009. But before she passed away, she had type 2 diabetes, and I believe it was because of the type 2 diabetes that she had her both of her legs amputated. Yes. I want to know why that happens and why it's a necessity for that to happen.
Yeah, it isn't. And as a matter of fact, there's not a single person in today's time with diabetes that should be having amputations, period. End of story. So we did something wrong in the healthcare community if that happened. And it's related to blood sugars that are too high, that affect the circulation system and also affect the nerve endings and also affect the healing process. So if we have somebody with poor circulation to begin with who gets injured in a lower extremity, which has less circulation anyway, because it's the furthest from the heart, then you add high blood sugar on top of it, where white blood cells, remember your biology, they're the ones that attack infection. White blood cells do not work in an environment of high blood sugar. So you have something that you need white blood cells for to counteract, which there aren't good white blood cells anymore because blood sugars are too high. So that isn't fought. And there's no oxygen coming to that area because the blood supply is so poor. So without oxygen, something called gangrene can set in. Gangrene then quickly progresses to other parts, so you have to eliminate it at the point that it won't progress to the rest of you and kill you, although oftentimes people die after amputations because their circulatory system in general has not been good. But it's all related to blood sugars that have been out of control, and this should not any longer be allowed.
I just want to make a quick note. We passed the time, but if you are willing to stay and want to ask, and if you are willing to take one more questions, we are here. I just wanted to be mindful of those that have to go to class and leave. But I know that you have one more question, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my question is more on an old wives' tale, and I've seen it happen where my aunt would like hug her daughter, and she'll smell her and be like, "Your blood sugar is too high. You smell too sweet." I wanted to know if that's true because I seen somebody else's mom do it, and I'm like, I don't know. Moms are different when it comes to their kids. They just know better. Is that a thing you can
Ketones, yeah.
smell how
It's in
sweet
the
they are?
breath.
It's in the
Yeah.
breath.
It's in their breath. Oh, that's cool. I mean, that's not cool, but that's good to know.
It's have any of you chewed juicy fruit gum? It's that kind of fruity smell, and that's when their blood sugars are really out of control because they've already begun breaking down their fat storage and they're developing a high level of ketone. Right.
So it's true.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
One more. If you don't mind.
questions.
The
I
psychology
got a lot of
major.
questions. I apologize. I know there's this new thing called the Impossible Burger. It's like these meats that are being processed because I know due to the population increasing, our food storage will be in a crisis in a few years. For you guys being experts on how to eat and how to do everything, is this actually a health alternative for meat or not?
I've tried it. It really does taste like a burger. But if you analyze the ingredients, it's higher in fat, very processed. It's just an alternative for those people. Let's say if you go with your family and they want a burger, you have a choice to have something that's not animal, but that it's healthier. I don't think so.
Yeah,
It's very processed. It's got a lot of coconut fat, so it's saturated. It's really not that healthy.
Burger King was the one that now jumped on that. And the reason why is because they basically figured that now the vegans have an option to go to
Yeah.
Burger King. But if you just have to question what are they putting in that Impossible Burger to make that burger $3.99 or $4.99 or
It's
whatever
like a laboratory experiment.
Yeah.
They even like the heme, because it's equivalent even in heme iron as the regular beef. Yeah. So they created the heme iron in a lab where it's bioavailable for the body, just like the heme that's in real beef. So you get it's equivalent in nutrition in that sense, but it's it's all processed.
Yeah.
item.
It's better to make your own black bean burger at home or, it's simple ingredients and it tastes good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. Whitney, you're amazing. Thank you for bringing this amazing expert panel, including yourself, because you're living and managing this. You did an amazing job. We are very thankful to all of you. We stay past time, and they have tons of questions, so I will have to bring you back. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.